Hi, everybody. Welcome back to conversation number 99. It's hard to believe we've been doing this for that long. Our next conversation is conversation number 100. But before we start, I want to thank our sponsors as always. Let's start by thanking Conductrix, who have been with us from the very beginning. Thank you, Nate, Matt, Ezekiel, Ashley, and the entire team at Conductrix so much for sponsoring the TLC. And we also want to thank our newsletter sponsors, of course, starting with Conductrix and Growthbook. Thank you all so much for providing your thought leadership to the community. Before we go on, I want to say a very fond farewell to SiteSpect. We really enjoyed your thought leadership, and we want to congratulate you for the recent news and the reason that we are departing ways. Congratulations on your acquisition. For those who don't know, Monetate acquired SiteSpect last month, which has put at least a pause on our partnership while Monetate and SiteSpect figure out what's next. But congratulations, really exciting news. And I know you guys are going to do great things together. With that news, obviously, we now have 2 spots. If anybody is interested in sponsoring some thought leadership, it's really great content, and the newsletter is a lot of fun, and we have monthly spots for newsletter sponsorship if anybody's interested in providing some thought leadership for the TLC audience. Thank you again to Convert for sponsoring the Conversations channel. Our next conversation starts in August, so check out that over on the TLC Slack, and you get to participate, answer questions, get to know each other. So that's coming soon. And last but far from least, Eddie Aguilar, Blazing Growth, thanks for all you do for sponsoring the TLC and great conversations. So let's talk about John. I'm really excited to introduce John, someone I've had the honor of working with alongside, learning from, and laughing with. You all will see, his impressive title. He's the VP of Analytics at Seer. And yes, he's also a published author, former president of the Digital Analytics Association, and one of the most respected voices in the analytics space. But let me tell you what you won't see on the slide. John is one of the smartest and most strategic thinkers that I've ever worked with. We spent years in the trenches together at a place that we worked together. We built current state assessments. We developed measurement strategies. We worked at some of the world's largest brands with some of the most complex and most maddening challenges. And through it all, John brought his amazing blend of sharp insight, calm leadership, and this amazing blend of genuine care for the people around him. He's thoughtful, he's kind, he's hilarious in this really dry and subtle way that sneaks up on you. And he's the kind of leader who teaches everybody around him, including me, to be better. So, John, please take it away and teach us all a little bit more about KPIs and why they matter.
Thank you for that introduction, Kelly. I am blushing. I'm going to take that YouTube clip and start using that for my promo reel. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. It's great to be here with you all today. I am excited to talk about KPIs. So basically, you got the intro from Kelly. You kind of know what I've done in the past. Currently at Seer Interactive, QR code on the screen here. We put out a lot of thought leadership. Our CEO, Will Reynolds, is very vocal, talks about SEO and all things AI these days. So if you want to catch our insights, snap this QR code and you can sign up for the newsletter there. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. So let's get into it a little bit. Basically, I've been in measurement for a long time, doing analytics and kind of watching the world change around us and how we do measurement. And I was working on a client project and I was like, oh, I need a KPI. And so I basically pulled off my virtual bookshelf, Eric Peterson's Big Book of KPIs. And I was like, I'm going to use this, and I opened it at the first. This is a digital. It was never actually published in pages. Uh, but the first in the preamble, it said this book was meant to be rewritten, and that was 18 years ago that the first book came out. And so I called Eric, and I'm like, "Hey, Eric, I got an idea. I'm like, I think I can rewrite this and have something new to say about it." So the premise behind all this is, the KPIs that I was seeing and that I was seeing my client use were really just a lot of placeholders. A lot of dashboard filler, a lot of stuff, and nobody was doing anything about it. So, I think we all know that most marketers today don't need more data. They've got plenty of data. They're drowning in data. They don't have the insights, and they need better KPIs to help them understand what matters. So that's why I wrote the new Big Book of KPIs. As I mentioned, kind of talking with Eric. Eric wrote the forward for the book. We had a good laugh about kind of the things that have changed and some of the things that stayed the same. The fundamentals of analytics are really, in a lot of ways, still very foundational. Um, but as I get into this, I did want to talk a little bit about how this concept came up. So obviously, I've got a day job. I'm kind of working this. You saw the Ben's question about the kelp. I've got a little side hustle that I do as well. I've got a family that I keep busy. And my idea was the company gives us the days off between the holidays. And so I said, I'm going to write this book in 3 weeks, and I'm going to use AI to write it. So the disclosure that I'll make here about this book, and frankly about everything that I do, is I use AI. I use the AI through the book, and I use it a lot because that's the world we live in. And if you're not paying attention to AI and thinking about how it can help you in your workflows and the things you do, you're missing out because it's pretty cool and there's a lot of cool stuff. So my original concept was, oh, I can rewrite this book in 3 weeks. And the first thing I did was built a custom GPT that said, how do I want to format my KPIs? What should they look like? How are they going to have objectives? What's the purpose? How am I going to quantify business impact? And I coded this whole GPT that would help me to say, here's my business problem. This is what I'm trying to solve for. Give me the format of what a KPI could look like, and then built it out. But the part so that was basically the AI that's used to actually generate the KPIs. As I went through the book, I thought about, like, we'll talk about my framework in a minute, but as I built my list of KPIs, there are 101 KPIs in the book. And for each section that I wrote, I used, because I was trying to do it fast and trying to get input from others, I built what I call virtual roundtables. So basically, I said, okay, we're talking about conversions. I want a virtual roundtable where I want to have a conversation with Jim Stern, with Kelly Wortham, with Ben Woodward. I've actually created these groups of people. You guys are on my screen, so I use your names. But I did actually use real people that I knew. I told GPT, I said, go out and make sure you know who these people are, see what they've written and put online. And then I want to have a conversation. What do they like about these KPIs? What doesn't work about these KPIs? Let's really get into the details. So I'm going back and forth with ChatGPT on this, refining my lists, coming up with ways about what are the actions we're going to take if this metric changes. And the insights were just brilliant for me. It was so amazing to do that. And then I would also bring in others to the conversation. I was like, what would on my revenue KPIs that I was thinking about, what would Warren Buffett say about this? And it was getting great answers back. The most fun one that's in the acknowledgments. I was talking about whether revenue was a metric or a KPI. And I said, what would Friedrich Nietzsche say about this? And the answers I got were just amazing. It was like, it's like, take a look at yourself and really ask yourself, is revenue really important? And so there were some good insights that I got. And frankly, it was just fun. It's fun to play with AI in that way. So had a lot of fun using it. That's my whole preamble. Please do ask questions if you want about how I used it to write the book, but there's a section in the book about it as well. All right. So all that's to say, thinking about all this AI, all these robots, the agents that are out there in the world, one of the things that's important to me and important to our company and important to the way I think that marketers should think is, what are the humans doing, right? It's about us. It's about the people. It's about how people are going to interact. We need to know how people or how the agents and all the LLMs are going to treat our data and our websites and the things we build and the things we test. But it's really about kind of what are the people? How do the people behave, and how can we start to deliver marketing that resonates with people? So that's sort of one of the framework that I thought about in terms of writing this book. I truly believe, and I've been saying this for years, that the marketing funnel is a fallacy. We talk about like, oh yeah, sure, you just you throw out some acquisition efforts, people drop in the top of the funnel, they, go through your websites, and then dollars fall out the bottom and they convert. But in today's world, it doesn't work that way. We know this. People don't behave this way. Traditional funnels assume this linear path, where people come in the top and they go through. It's we've tried to get people to go into this rigid framework of the funnel, but in reality, they zigzag. They go across devices. They're now using agents and asking LLMs and not even visiting websites anymore. Most of these LLMs are skipping traditional site visits, right? So it's like when you do a search on Google, if you get your answer in an AI overview, you don't have to visit that web page. You got your answer, but the consumer learned something, the human learned something. They didn't necessarily need to visit your digital asset to get their answers. But that's okay. That's the new world that we live in. And these new customer journeys that we need to think about that are fluid, they're multi-touch, they're AI influenced. It's just a matter of fact about the way people work today. So many of our clients or my clients ask me questions like, oh my gosh, our organic is dropping. We're not getting traffic from organic sources anymore. The sky's falling. We're like, well, are you getting traffic from other places? Is your revenue falling? What are the things that matter to you? And let's start to look at that in the context of how people are behaving, because we're seeing behavior changes that are widespread. It's happening all over the internet. So part of this, in writing the book, I said, like, how can we start to think about, in a simple way, how these human behaviors are happening? And basically came up with the ABCs. I call them the ABCs of marketing measurement. So sounds like, traditional, like we got awareness, we got behaviors, we got conversions, not linear top to bottom, but more nebulous, right? So just to talk a little bit about that, these ABCs are meant to reflect human journeys. So the human touch points, as marketers, we need to ask, what are the desired outcomes that humans want to achieve at every different stage? And so today we're seeing a lot of connections happening, whether it's, an ad that they see, an LLM or an agent, maybe they get an email, they're searching for things, they're trying to learn things, or they're networking with people. Generating that awareness is really kind of the first stage of being aware of a brand, learning about things, learning about kind of what's happening in the world. From there, we start to talk about these behaviors. Okay, so you got their attention, you had that initial awareness. What are they doing after that? Are they coming to your websites? Are they exploring options? A lot of people call this the consideration phase because they're coming in and out of your assets, they're talking to other people, they're going to their networks, they're seeking opinions. And then ultimately, if you do this well, these humans will, or maybe their agents on behalf of the humans, will start to get these conversion events, right? And we all know, like, obviously the paying money to the website is one big conversion, but it doesn't always happen that way. A lot of times you're looking for the download or the form submit or some other type of engagement that you consider a conversion event. We spend a lot of time trying to help people figure that out. What is most important to you? You built a website. Why is it there? What do you want people to do when they arrive? So that is kind of the way we're thinking about these human journeys. And if you do it well and you start to kind of make sure you pulling people through this path or being able to see people as they go through this journey, the ideal or the bonus metric, as I like to say, is loyalty, right? So it's ABCL. So just because you get them and you got them to convert, most consumers, are brand loyal. So getting them to repeat, we know that advocacy is a huge thing for brands. If I'm talking about, or you ask me, hey, what's the best sunscreen to wear out there. I might give you a recommendation and say, like, this is my favorite one. It's great. It does feels great in your skin, whatever the circumstance might be. My recommendation to a friend or a colleague holds a lot of weight these days, and yours does too. And we need to think about how we can start to see that in the digital world around us, because those are the things that we need to be measuring today. It's not always going to be, I went to your website, I did the research, and I bought the product. It's who did I talk to? Where did I learn about it? What research did I do? Did I use AI to help me understand what products I should buy? So it's a new world that we're living in today. And when we put all this together, this is just a way of thinking about, like, okay, if we can start to identify what we want to measure and what parts of this process, it makes it easier to grasp on, okay, we're talking about you've got an awareness campaign. Let's see how far your message is going, who it's resonating with, what's happening out there. Or maybe you've got a loyalty campaign, or you're working on a loyalty part of your brand marketing program. Let's really dig in and measure that. So I found that being able to talk about the things that we want to measure and understand in these categories is very helpful for marketers, because it's not just like, let's do everything all at once. Let's focus and let's figure out what is the objective you have here and talk about that and find measures of success that will line up with it. So, all right, let's get into a couple examples here. I brought with me some Seer data just to show you kind of what this looks like. So for this is we're in awareness. So some of the ways that we're thinking about measuring today, and again, we're living in this AI world. Is your brand getting mentioned in large language models? So when somebody goes to ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or whatever it might be, we are trying to see, like, hey, do you get mentioned? So this is just a short list of, Seer Interactive's in here, but some of our competitors. What we did is we go out and we ask a series of questions. Who's the best digital marketing agency? Where can I get analytics and testing services for my brand? We ask, in this case, 75 questions across 3 LLMs. And what we're tracking is how many times does your brand get mentioned? And you can do this, whatever your brand is, whatever the company you're working for. We've got all sorts of tests that we can run and understand. But we're looking to see, like, what comes up. Who are these people? This is effectively a share of voice way to measure and saying, like, am I present? Are LLMs, when I search for generic terms or ask generic questions, is my brand appearing? And this is kind of that awareness thing that I was talking about. And we take that a step forward to say to create a score. So across all those questions, what percentage of time do we show up in the answers? And basically, are we getting our name out there? We also look to see, like, what are the themes that come up when we ask different types of questions about whether it's SEO, paid marketing, digital marketing, data analytics. Like, where do we appear, so that we can start to understand, okay, when these topics or these themes are being talked about, is our brand surfacing there? So this is a little bit of a different way of saying, like, it used to be, hey, you type into Google or Bing or whatever your search engine of choice is, you get a bunch of answers, and we could see, like, are you ranked at the top, or where are you ranked? And that world is very much diminishing. It still certainly exists, but it's changing. It's changing fast. And these new LLMs, understanding when brands are surfacing there, becomes very important. But that's just the awareness part, right? So what we want to understand also is, does this change behaviors? So you saw the site, you're a consumer, you did an AI search. Are you clicking through on those things and going to websites? So this is where we're starting to look at AI's influence on website traffic. So here in this example, basically what we're looking at is sessions and engaged sessions. So are they coming? Are they engaged? Our data shows us that people that come from large language models, particularly ChatGPT, are highly engaged audiences. So a lot of times when they click through, when consumers click through on an advertisement or maybe your organic search, they come in, they look around, they leave. But what we're seeing is, when they actually, after they've learned and they come to visit your sites, they're staying longer and they're doing things, they're interacting with you. And these are the behaviors that we want to start to understand of these consumers. And we have ways, this isn't interactive, obviously, but we've got ways to be able to sort this against different channels, so we can look at what is AI engagement versus, or traffic versus other sources that we typically see. And then, so, okay, great. You got onto the site, they're looking around, they're spending more time, they're doing more things. Are they actually converting? So what are your conversion events? For us, we've got the ability to plug these into our, data sources, look at our key events or success events, and be able to see like, okay, we got them to the website. Did they do that download, or did they do, in our case, it's a contact us. Are they contacting us and reaching out? And then how does that compare across channels? Because everybody wants to know if I'm spending money on paid search, or I'm spending it on paid media, is that channel working for me? Is it working better than the organic stuff? Is AI traffic driving a lot more things? How do we start to understand those things? So those are some of the kind of walking through the ABC part of it. Most people ask at this point, like, okay, great, you just told me a story about how humans are behaving. What do we do about all this? And this is kind of where the KPIs come into play. So for me, it's thinking about like, okay, we've got these discrete different categories that we can think about, help us understand, are consumers achieving their goals? So are they doing what they want them to do? But how do we convert those to KPIs? So in this case, for awareness, start measuring your brand visibility to start optimizing, right? It's like one of the things that we do is say like, hey, all this is happening out there. What if we change something? What if we make our content more relevant? If we start to do more things? We've also learned that LLMs have a tendency, content freshness is a very big thing. The citations they create, the times that they mention brands are very much correlated to within the last 12 to 18 months of content. If it's older than that, they're not finding it. And you need to understand the way in which you prompt GPTs. Sometimes it won't go out to the web at all. It'll just answer from its knowledge base. Other times, if you say, provide a specified date, tell me about what are the best sneakers in 2025. That's a phrase that would likely get them to search the web, get the LLM to search the web. So it's a little different there. But in any case, if you've got an objective, building awareness, you might use a KPI like a brand visibility score. One of the things about KPIs that I write about in the book is context, 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 right? So it's like, okay, I could tell you your score is 47, but that doesn't mean diddly squat, right? It's like big deal. That's a number. But if I tell you your score is 47 and the target is 75, you're like, oh, I got some work to do. Okay. But then even more context, you get something like, okay, how are we doing month over month? Are we going up in this number? Are we going down? Are we starting to see changes that are in the marketing that are reflected in this score? And that's really what a KPI is meant to do. It's meant to say like, where am I going? What is my status today, right now? And then how do I know how far I'm moving? All that contextual relevance helps you make decisions about your marketing. So and the other half of this, every KPI, and I'll talk more about this, every KPI should drive you to take some action. So when I look at this number, or when I'm looking at this number on behalf of a client, if it's low, I want to say like, okay, why is our visibility low? Maybe it's our about us pages or product pages where FAQs aren't getting referenced. Maybe it's the markup of our pages. Because LLMs are looking at that, the robot.txt files and the way that you're constructed is going to have an impact. So we want to look at those things and see if we can make some improvements. On the flip side, if it's high, great. What are the triggers that were making people find our site? What are the themes? Did we have content or partnerships that people are using to find us? All of those things may have contributed. So the point of showing you this actions to take is every KPI should drive you to do something. Like when that number moves, or even if it doesn't move, okay, let's start to think about what are the implications? What are the campaigns we've got out there? Are these things working? So it's very much what's happening? Let me use this metric to be able to inform what I should do next. All right, let's talk about another KPI. So if that was awareness, then like what are behaviors? So if your objective is to learn about like, hey, we're getting some traffic from AI, I don't know if it's good or not. So engagement obviously is a highly contested metric, but for better or for worse, whether or not you like GA4, they've got an engagement metric that can be used as a proxy to help you understand a little more. So like with all good KPIs, visualizations are important. So looking at like if somebody comes to the website, they only visit one page and they leave. Maybe they got what they needed, but if they dig around and they download more content and they're consuming my videos, if I have them, or they're engaging with my digital assets, that engagement gets higher and higher. So for a lot of websites, engagement is a good thing. You get them on the site, you get them to do things, you get them to, and obviously GA4, for all its strengths and weaknesses, you can change the engagement metric to make it whatever you want. The time spent, use your own data to understand this. but it's a good metric to look at because, hey, if their coming in engagement rate is low and you're not getting the sales that you want, start to look at like, are you driving people to irrelevant pages? Are your pages matching? Are they finding what they expect on your website? If it's high, understand why. What are those spikes that you're getting? Like, what's causing people to look around? What is the resonance with which people are engaging with the content you have out there? So, not a new metric, but a new way of thinking about it in terms of like, what does good look like for us? What do we want these people to do? If we know they're not visiting as frequently because they're getting their answers somewhere else, when we do get them on our websites or mobile sites, what is it that we want them to accomplish? And then the last example that I'll talk about here is now that you've got this traffic here, are they converting? Are they doing, and how does that, if sticking with the AI example, how does the AI traffic convert versus other types of traffic? So again, another visualization to try to put things in context. We might see that we've got a conversion rate, traffic that comes from AI referrals convert at 0.85%. If I give you that number, you might just say, is that good? I don't know. Well, let's set a target of 2.25. And somebody, we know a lot about targeting. Our friends, Tim Wilson's probably the best at talking about setting targets. But how do you come up with that? Well, let's look at all the data. So our conversions from organic search are 0.5. Organic social is way up here. Let's set a target and see if we can achieve that target to move conversion rates. So again, the KPI is meant to say, where are we today? Where do we want to get to? And how does that compare in context? What's the contextual relevance with which we can understand that information? So, all right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit and start to talk about some brass tacks here. Okay, what can you do with all this information? I showed you some cool examples. Talked about the AI story. When we're thinking about KPIs, they're really this is a form of performance measurement, right? How are we doing? How is our marketing performing? And we wanted to make sure that those KPIs compel you to take some action, do something about it. If you're going to take the time to measure something and build it and put it in your dashboards, make sure that it compels people to action. So some of the new rules. When I started this, I mentioned the one thing I did take away from Eric Peterson's original book is the rules that he wrote, because I think they still hold true today. You can't just provide that number. If I said to you 47 is your signal score, you're like, what does that mean? But use rates, ratios, percentages, and averages instead of just those raw numbers. You also want to leverage, I like to say, tachometers, thermometers, stoplights. Keep your pie charts, save those for Thanksgiving, your bar graphs whenever possible. Oftentimes, those are good accompaniments to offer additional insights, but you shouldn't have a pie chart for your KPIs. You do want to provide that temporal context and highlight changes instead of just presenting data in tables. So that little month-over-month growth ticker, it's a small visual cue, but it really helps you understand, are we trending up? Are we trending down? What's happening? And then, as I mentioned, you want to drive business action. So um, let's talk quickly about that. Because one of the things when people ask me, or non-business people are like, well, what is a KPI? What the heck do you write about and what are you talking about? This is the way I explain it to my 80-year-old mom. I say like, hey, do you know what this means? When you see this in your car, in your dashboard, what do you do? And generally the answer is, I'm looking for a gas station because I don't want to run out of gas. I know the consequences. This is relevant because it directly impacts your ability to operate your car and get it to the places you need to go. The gauge itself provides a visual cue. And then the actionability is, that when it's, your check engine light, you might ignore that for a week, or two, or a month, but your gas gauge, you're going to pay attention. So that's a critical KPI. And then for all the newer folks, everybody knows what this symbol means. You are actively going to look for a plug to get your device plugged in and get that battery life back up. So when I talk about, how are KPIs, how do they drive action, and how do visuals help you to be able to understand? These are two of the most iconic ways in which you say like, oh, I know I need to do something. You want your KPIs to look like these, to be able to say like, if I see that number or I see this sign, I know I have to do something and make a change. All right, so I built a very quick checklist helping you separate kind of the signal of the noise. Just thinking about like, as you look at your numbers, when you start having conversations with your internal teams, your clients, or whomever, ask yourself like, hey, if this KPI changes, are we going to do something about it? Is it actionable? You also want to ask yourself, is it important to us? Does this reflect our business goal? Is it the KPI going to trigger some action if it dropped? So if it goes down to zero, are you going to do something about it? And if you say, maybe not, maybe that's not a great KPI. That's not something. And by the way, you don't, I write this in the book as well. And I think I stole this from Tim Wilson also, but the K in KPI does not stand for 1,000. You should have just a handful of these. The fewer KPIs that you have, the better, because if you've got too many, they become noise and they become unimportant. So Kelly liked that one. You want to ask also, can those metrics be audited and optimized, right? So it's like if we have a metric or KPI that we're looking at and we don't know how to change it or we can't do anything about it, maybe you should reconsider and start to think about, is there a better way to be able to look at this? So quick way to kind of sanity check your metrics there. And I recommend piloting it, right? Try one or two new KPIs in your next experiment or the next thing you're working on, and think about putting them into context, right? So let's think about, is this an awareness play that we're working on? If so, what are the metrics or the KPIs that can match that? Maybe it's behaviors or conversions. Focus on one area, which will really help your stakeholders better focus, better understand what we're trying to achieve, better understand how this is a measure of success of what you're trying to accomplish. And then do this, don't do it in isolation, do it alongside your usual metrics. Say like, hey, did this give us more insight or tell us more or spark us to action more so than the other measures that we had before? And then the bonus here that I just offer is, pair it with your A/B tests, correlate that insight to action. Like what happened? Did we make a change? I think everybody knows, or the frustrations I felt in my testing life is you make tons of recommendations and you got all these great things. And then if nobody changes anything, what was all that for? So, do this correlation, do a test, see if it does something different, see if your teams, your stakeholders take some action based on these new metrics that you put together, or the new KPIs. So ask yourself, do the KPIs actually indicate performance? One of the resources I have here, the GPT I mentioned at the top of the call was, it's basically meant to do this. You can type in any business problem you have, a KPI you're working on. This has got a great knowledge base that'll tell you a lot of things about, hey, how do I do this? How do I form this? What might some targets be, some thresholds? What are the actions I should take if a KPI changes? So take a snapshot of that. And yeah, let's open it up to questions.
Wait, go back so we can grab it. That was too fast.
There we go.
Yeah, keep that up for a bit. Give everybody a chance to get it. Does anybody still need it? I'm echoing for a second there. All right. Thank you.
I am on the TLC Slack channel, but if you want to get a hold of me, the best way is LinkedIn. Usually they're most responsive place for me. That all makes sense? Everybody got good KPIs? You all have this all figured out?
I'm going to check the audio. Do I still have an echo? Don't know where the echo is coming from. I can't tell if it's your mic or mine.
You sound good to me. No echo from me.
Great. Hope it's not on the recording. Okay. Anybody have questions for John?
I must have put them to sleep, Kelly. They're all done.
They're not going to sleep. It was awesome. It was great. It was fantastic. As always, I love hearing your talks and learning stuff while they're thinking. I'm going to tell folks about what's coming up. Next conversation is with my friend June Dershowitz. June's going to be here. Oh, no, it's not. I need to update that. Next conversation is actually with Talia Wolf. Our conversation number 100 is August 8th with Talia. Talia is going to talk about don't leave emotions behind, the key to scalable growth and more conversions in an AI obsessed world. So Talia will be here August 8th. Then on June 22nd, we have June Dershowitz, and she's going to talk about real talk about excellence in analytics. So August 8th is Talia. That's conversation number 100. Conversation number 101 will be real talk with about excellence in analytics with June. So I'll update the website to reflect the accurate order there. And then I'll be in London the following week for the TLC Problem Lab. So you all have time to register for that. You can go to the events tab on the testandlearn.community and register. If you're in London, please come join us. That's powered by Creative CX, and we're going to look at a real customer problem. And then we're going to talk about that problem, and we're going to work through some solutions together. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to be at the Creative CX offices on August 27th. So that'll be a lot of fun. So come join us August 27th, the first TLC problem lab. All right. Wendy says great work. And oh, I want to tell you, John, one of your very first slides, you said something along the lines of marketers don't need more data, they need better KPIs. I want you to edit the slide. It shouldn't be marketers. It should be decision makers.
Ooh.
Because it's not just marketers, it's
You're right.
It's people who work in product, it's everybody in the business world. Decision maker.
Very good ad. Totally agree.
That's my only revision of the entire thing. I love it. Because I work with a whole bunch of people in product. A lot of my clients are in the product side. That's my only revision.
Awesome.
Anyway, thank you, sir. Great job.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You bet. And if you guys have questions, send them over in the TLC Slack. Thank you, John.
Thanks so much.
See y'all.
Have a great week. And it was good to see everybody. Oh, the recording will be on the shared on the TLC Slack, and I don't know when it's done. It takes about 30 minutes. Oh, John, will you share your slides?
I sure will.
Thank you. All right. Bye,
All right.
y'all.
Bye now. See ya.